We have to remember that our goal in strength training is not just to do reps. Doing reps doesn't necessarily accomplish the task that we're after. What we're after is building fatigue in the muscle. We're after building fatigue and mechanical tension in the muscle. And in order to do that, we need to keep that tension on the muscle. So we need to not use momentum, and we need to use that correct technique.
We are about to launch
Solo round.
Truth, not trends.
Not trends. What's up, everybody? Hey, we're back here at TNT HQ, Oakland, live in the studio. Jesse Schmidt, Liam Bauer. And it's been a while since I told you we're changing the world one set at a time. Train outside the box.
Boom, baby.
TNT Strength.
This is the podcast where we help you maximize your strength as
safely and efficiently as
possible. My name is Jesse Schmidt, and I've been a strength coach for 2,250 days.
Woo-wee, there's a 50 on the end. That's got to be big. My name is Liam Bauer, and I have been a strength coach for 35 years and counting. What's coming up on 36, man? I'm only a few months away. August 28th, 61 years old. Bastard.
Holy moly. He's been a strength coach for as long as I've been alive.
Holy crap.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Pretty sneaky, sis.
And today we are going to talk all about the abdominal muscles. How do we develop that six-pack abs?
Six-pack.
7-minute abs.
That's right. We did that one before, didn't we?
Yeah.
What about 5-minute abs?
What do you want? Do you want a keg? Do you want a 2-pack, 4-pack, 6-pack, 8-pack, 10-pack?
I used to train a guy who was like, he played center in football in college, and we used to just call him the Ab. Because he just had one big belly. So we called him Ab instead of abs. He was the Ab.
So we're gonna lay out the roadmap for you guys today. Do you need to do your abs every day? Maybe. We'll talk about it.
Do you need to do a bunch of like rubber band ball on a rope spinning around Pilates core funktastic exercises? Maybe.
Probably. That sounds pretty interesting.
It does sound fun, right?
Yeah, it does. So we'll get into that. Before we get into that, we want to remind you that we have, as a thank you for listening to this podcast, we are giving away our free nutrition and training PDF. And all you have to do is go to tntstrength.com to get that. And you'll be on the road to building that six-pack and building the body of your dreams.
Oh, man. So close. It's only a click away.
And we also want to remind you, while you're on tntstrength.com, check out our supplement shop.
That's right. We got some supplements in there. Supplements.
They're delicious. We've got some whey protein. We've got some creatine monohydrate. We've got some fish oil. Vitamin D3 plus K2.
That's right. And probiotics to keep that microbiome of your belly happy.
Ooh, yum.
Fire in the belly. Hey, that's what this episode's all about.
That's right. At TNT Strength, we recommend a whole food, high protein diet. You can get all your nutrition from your food, but if you know you have some gaps, these supplements are a great way to fill those gaps in. So check out the store at tntstrength.com.
That's right. Do it now.
And please enjoy this solo round
with Jesse and Liam.
What's going on, people?
What's up? What's it? What? Truth, not trends.
Welcome back. We're talking today about strength training.
Is this truth, not trends?
Various topics. No.
Oh, okay.
No, we're just talking about the trends today.
Okay, just trends. Kettlebells, they're the best.
We're going to talk about core training today. You won't. Well, if you do enough core training, you'll pop the button right off those skinny jeans. You'll be so muscular. You have to get some of those. You have to get some of those jeans that are made for bodybuilders with the extra thick thighs.
I have those jeans that are made for bodybuilders.
Do you actually?
Yeah, because I mean,
because all of your jeans are bodybuilder jeans
with a G. Jeans, baby.
Okay, got it. But
yes.
rim shot.
Bucket of fish.
So the question is, should I train my abs every day?
Should I train my abs every day?
A lot of people get told different things. Maybe you go to your doctor, you got lower back pain. Doctor says, oh, you need to strengthen your core. So you start doing crunches every day.
Yeah, right. We get that one a lot. That's a common one.
Somebody wants to, they want to lose 10 or 20 pounds. They say, oh, well, I got to crunch it away.
That's right. I got to
better start doing
them like 2 or 3 times a day.
I remember in high school, I heard Britney Spears did 1,000 sit-ups every day. So I thought, okay, here we go.
There we go. I was like, if I could pick any abs, I want Britney's abs.
She had good abs. Yeah, she was a pop star.
All right. I used to do them AM and PM for sure.
Yeah.
I did a whole series in the morning and again at night. Sometimes in the middle.
Yeah, a lot of people do. And we've talked many times on this podcast about how if a little is good, more is better. That's what people think about strength training. But does it work that way actually?
Good question.
No. It doesn't. Spoiler alert. We're not going to keep you in suspense. It just doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
At TNT, we recommend you strength train your whole body twice a week with 2 days of rest in between. And we think that's, for most people, optimal. Meaning, if you do more than that, it doesn't get better. You get worse results than that. Yeah,
there is very rarely do people need extra, especially, we're talking about most normal average people. And honestly, not to go down that rabbit hole, but, if you're a professional athlete or whatever else, they don't need more either because they have so much other stuff on their plate. There's not a lot of time even for the strength training to fit in on top of tactical stuff, technical stuff, strategic stuff. Their whole life is, eaten up. There's so much stuff going on. They're lucky if they can, get a good effective strength training program in, or else, get beat down by doing too much.
Yeah. So we've got to, when we're doing the workout, we're providing our body with a stimulus to get stronger and build muscle. And when we're recovering after the workout, that's when we actually do get stronger. That's when that stimulus can manifest in stronger muscles, stronger bones, and increased strength. So getting back to the core, what is this CORPS, like the Marine Corps?
Yeah, right.
Apple Corps? What are we talking
Yeah,
here?
That's a good question. So number one, I don't personally ever use that word. Like, to me, it's just a buzzword. It came on hard for a while in the industry. So I've never used the word core when talking about the abs. I use the term midsection, right? And when I think of it 3-dimensionally. So number one is you could sit down 30 coaches and get 30 different definitions of what the core is, and they can be super elaborate, or super minimal. But for me, it's the muscles in the midsection, and it's 3-dimensional, meaning it's not just the six pack, it's not just the front of your body, it's the back of your body, it's the sides. We work all the functions, right? So the basic concept that we use is to steal from our good friend Jim Flanagan. How do you do strength training? You put resistance against the function of the muscle. Doesn't matter what the tool is. And we figure out the function of those muscles that we're trying to target, and we put resistance against it and make them go to work, right? So with our midsection, we need the rectus abdominis, which is that six-pack guy, which is front flexion, just a tiny few degrees of motion. It's really a small movement. The classic crunches, sit-ups, all those type of movements. Those are all, you have internal and external obliques. You have what they call transverse abdominis. That's a whole nother rabbit hole. But that's what started the whole drawing in maneuver. Everybody thought you need to somehow activate the transverse abdominis. It's essentially not directly under conscious control, the way your biceps or your main six-pack muscles are, your rectus. Anytime you brace your abs, it automatically turns on, and it's like a girdle surrounding everything. And then you got your lower back, you got your spinal erectors, right? So we put resistance against each one of those pieces of that midsection directly in order to improve their function by challenging them and helping them get stronger. And that's all you need to do. And do you need to do them all every day? No. Do you need to do them all every single time you go to the gym? No. Some people do arm day, biceps, triceps. Some people do triceps on one day and biceps on another day. Well, you can do the same thing with your abs. Here at TNT, we do direct midsection, like flexion work. Other days we do rotation work. And also we do the extension, which is the spinal erectors. And we can compartmentalize that and mix it up however we want to make sure that it makes sense in the plan.
There you go. One thing I've heard you say over the years is that, your midsection is almost like a wrestling belt. It's not just a because when people think of their core, I think they think of the rectus abdominis, the six-pack muscles.
Right.
You know, I think that's what the vernacular is. So thinking about it as a wrestling belt, like we want, like, a wrestling belt isn't like strong in the front and weak in the back, right? It's just like a solid, like picture like a lifting belt. Actually, like a lifting belt is like a nice, solid, sturdy piece of leather. You know, it's solid all the way around, and that's at least our approach at TNT is we want to help people get every muscle in their body as strong as it can be. And sure, we might give emphasis to certain areas of the body depending on our clients' preferences, but overall, the overall program is consistently giving a stimulus to each different part of the body. So we're not leaving out the lower back and just working the six-pack abs, right? We're working, just like Liam said, we're doing rotational movement that trains the oblique muscles. We're doing front flexion that trains the six-pack muscles, and we're doing extension that trains the lower back muscles. So getting back to a couple of those questions that people have, like if you're one of those people who went to the doctor and the doctor said, well, you've got lower back, chronic lower back pain, you need to strengthen your abs. I would agree. Good idea to strengthen your abs. And you need to strengthen your lower back.
Yeah, part of the problem with that, right? It doesn't even make sense sometimes if you think about it, right? Because they're saying, where's the pain? Oh, it's back here in the back of my body. Okay, so how do I fix it? Strengthen the front of your body, right? Like, why would that make sense? So the analogy that I always use is if you imagine an old-fashioned pup tent and you were putting a tent up in the yard and you had that pole in the middle that holds up the tent. Think of that as your spine. And then on either side of that pole, you have to tack in a little wire on the right side and a wire on the left side. Those wires are nice and taut with equal tension to keep that tent pole straight up and down. And you peg them in, right? So think of the wire on one side is the abdominal muscles and the wire on the other side is the lower back muscles. And we want tension on both sides to support that spine very effectively. And really, like I said earlier, it's three-dimensional. So we want tension proper on all those muscles. But those are the primary functions, flexion and extension. And we don't want to only strengthen one side. We're just causing an imbalance to continue or grow or get worse.
There you go. So balance is key. Also getting back to the idea of I want to lose 10 or 20 pounds, so I need to do lots and lots of crunches. So this is the myth of spot reduction. This is the myth that all I need to do to lose body fat is just work the area that I want to lose the fat in a lot, and then I'll just lose the body fat that way. And so this ignores the laws of thermodynamics. So I suppose it's possible that you could do so many crunches that ultimately you would lose body fat, but it would take so much time and you would be perpetually just brutally tired because it would just take all day, every day to do so many crunches. It's not an efficient enough exercise. You're not burning enough calories to override the food intake that you probably have if you need to lose, or if you want to lose 10 or 20 pounds. So really what we need to look at when it comes to losing that 10 or 20 pounds is nutrition, right? People consistently overestimate the amount of calories they're burning when they're exercising, and they're underestimating calories that they ingest when they're eating. I've experienced this firsthand because over the last year, because I've been trying to be more competitive with obstacle course racing, I've been running more consistently. So the rule that we typically follow with just whatever walking or running is that for every mile, whether you're running or walking, you're burning about 100 calories. So let's say I go out and I run 5 miles, right? I now have created a deficit of 500 calories. Now, when I create that deficit, I'm hungry. And I'm telling you firsthand, my experience has been that I feel like ravenously hungry. And I could easily eat 1,000 calories, even though I've only created a 500 calorie deficit. And we consistently underestimate the calories we're taking in. So I go on a run with this group called the Donut Runners, which are awesome, great people. They've been pushing me to improve my running. And we go and we eat a donut after this race. Now, depending on the size of that donut, right, I might have if I just created a 500 calorie deficit, I might just completely erase that deficit with one donut. If I go get a bear claw or something, apple fritter,
Right.
like that's a 500 calorie donut probably. So, or I could, sometimes what I do is I split a donut, or sometimes I don't eat the donut. I just drink coffee and I go home with my deficit, and I eat a regular breakfast, and then I'm totally happy. Anyway, this is all a long-winded way of saying that you really, if your goal is you can't fit a round peg in a square hole, right?
What?
Or maybe you could if there are funny sizes. I saw a video about that the other day where it was one of those kids' toys with the different shapes, and all the shapes fit through the rectangle.
That's funny.
Yeah. But if your goal is to lose body fat, you have to focus on nutrition. You have to make sure that you are ingesting less calories than you're burning on a consistent enough basis to get your body composition to the place where you want it. And no amount of crunches are going to really be able to get you there. And in addition, if you are doing crunches every day in hopes that you're going to lose body fat, your abs are going to suffer, and you are too. Like, it sucks. It's going to take you time. If you're spending like 15 minutes doing abs every day, you're wasting your time. Find an ab exercise that's challenging enough for you that you reach muscular failure in somewhere between 30 and 90 seconds. Do one set, or do however many sets you want to do, but work as hard as you can in at least one of them. And when you reach that muscular failure, that's all you need to do to stimulate new strength and muscle. And then you just wait a couple days and come back and do it again. And in the middle, focus on eating lots of protein and watching your calories.
Yeah, all good stuff. So another thing to think about is, not only do we not want to spot reduce, but do the abs need more reps than other muscle groups? Do I need to do, it's not unusual for people to have, or you look on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, and there's like always these little videos like, do this like ab routine. It only takes you 15 minutes. And it's just like they call it a core workout or whatever. Again, it doesn't take you any longer to do ab works than anything else. So it should literally take a couple of minutes, even if you did each function in one workout, right? So flexion, rotation, extension, right? All of them. And we stuck with Jesse's model of 30 to 90 seconds, right? We're looking at like 5 minutes to do your abs, right? If I hit them hard in each direction, all in one day. So you don't need to spend a lot of time. Another thing people think is that you have to do abs. For some reason, people think I should be doing abs unweighted, like don't add weight to ab exercises. No, it depends on what your goal is for your abs. If you want them to get as strong as possible, you need to put resistance against the function of the muscle, right? So if you get to a point where it takes you hundreds of sit-ups or some conventional exercise to get fatigued, to us, that means it's inefficient, right? I don't want to
make it more challenging.
Yeah, I don't want to do something that takes 1,000 reps before it gets hard. So now, how do I make it harder? You either change leverage, right? Find ways to change the leverage so it's less favorable, so you're working harder against whatever you're doing, or add external resistance, whether it's from a cable, free weights, resistance bands, a dedicated device. We have Nautilus machines, we have MedX machines, we have the awesome Pure Torque. Right, we got all kinds of cool things. So find a way to place resistance against those functions, and then work them hard. Do a set or two that's challenging, and you're done.
So we could talk about what are some of the types of ab exercises. You just mentioned a few there.
Yeah.
So I mean, you have your typical sort of like floor ab exercises. You might do like a bicycle crunch or a flutter kick.
Sure.
Superhero. That would be a lower back exercise.
Yeah, and as an example, like a flutter kick is not a direct ab exercise, right? Your abs they engage to stabilize as you lift those legs off the ground, but the abs are not connected to the legs, right? They don't move your legs up and down. So it's not that it won't work and make your abs get fatigued, but it's more of almost a static movement, like almost like
Yeah. So we like to point that out to people, that it's actually your hip flexors that are probably working the hardest in that exercise. And this is, if you don't know what a flutter kick is, we're laying on your back, your legs are kicked out in front of you, you straight out in front of you, you lift them off the floor like 2 inches, and then you're just sort of fluttering them up and down, and 1 inch up, 1 inch down, and just sort of fluttering there until you can't flutter anymore.
Yeah, and now this another one would be like hanging knee raises. Again, if you're hanging in any place where you can hang, whether it's from your shoulders or from, from the ab straps where you put your arms through the loops. If you're only bringing your knees up to 90 degrees or less and your abs are just hanging there straight, you're not directly engaging your abs. Your abs are, again, if lucky, they're stabilizing, so they're engaged statically. But the only time they're actually fully engaged is if you're shortening the distance between your ribs and your pelvis. So you have to pull those knees up and then continue to roll into a little ball. It's actually much harder than people think to do those effectively. Again, you are getting some static benefit, and it's okay to do static abdominal work too. We do all different types. There's obviously planks that become super popular. Again, nothing magic about them. Just, yielding, isometric position.
So those are several
resisted rotation.
There we go. So we just gave you several like flexion exercises, right? So Frenchy, 6-pack muscle type exercises. And so we also want to do rotational stuff. So these are like wood chops. You always see people with cables in the gym doing these. Usually they're doing them like way too fast and way too light. So, in addition, at TNT, we recommend 2 full body workouts per week with 2 full days of rest in between. Typically, we do 1 single set to muscular failure per exercise. And within those exercises, we're also working very, very slowly. So even if you're doing a wood chop, right, you chop out to one side, maybe take 5 seconds chopping out and 5 seconds coming back. And you should feel your midsection under tension the whole time you're doing the exercise. And then when you feel your muscles are at rest is when the set is over, not at any point during the set.
Exactly.
You should feel like the tension is mounting the entire time.
Again, one of the tools I mentioned previously, which we do like quite a bit, and we're not affiliated in any way, but we like it, is the Pure Torque, which is a device that allows you to do rotational movements. You can attach it to resistance bands or to a cable device, and you can work different movements rotationally. And again, you'll see that thing. You might see it on YouTube. Even the guys that are promoting it often, I think, just as Jesse said, are probably moving faster than they need to be. Again, we use it slow. We also do resisted rotation, which is something we've used for a long time, which is providing resistance directly counter to the force. Imagine I'm holding a cable. It looks like I'm aiming a gun out the window. The cable's pulling directly to the side, so I'm at a 90-degree angle. It's trying to turn me to the left. My job is to hold it straight and resist that force and see how long can I hold it there. And that is also going to light up all those rotational muscles with 0 movement. So it's a static or an isometric exercise. Super effective. I really like it for sprinters or anybody. I mean, a big job of our abs is often to just stabilize, not to be dynamically involved. And they do both. So we like to work both those functions.
And then you have the back of your body, right? You have your lower back. There are a bunch of muscles back there. The quadratus lumborum, the QL, the multifidus. Right? We've got a bunch of stuff going on. Spinal erector muscles, and we need to keep those strong. A lot of people are scared of working their lower back, but it might be that if you have chronic lower back pain, strengthening your lower back is the thing that helps you alleviate that pain.
Yeah. So one of the things that I often say is, the cause and the cure are linked, right? So a lot of times people say, "Oh, my low back hurts." So what you need to do, you need to actually work it through its full range of motion, improve that range of motion over time, expose it to resistance. That stuff is what's actually going to fix those problems. And it seems super counterintuitive, especially when you're in pain. But as you repair those things, and your range of motion will improve, your strength will improve, your function will improve. It's actually helping to send nutrients in and out of those discs, right? The discs get hydrated and fluid is going in and out through motion, right? So that we don't want them to be all locked up. We want them to get motion coming in through the spine. So yeah, movement in that sense is really beneficial to those low back muscles and to that whole area.
Yeah, so you can do the floor exercise, the superhero, where you're laying on your stomach and you lift your arms and legs in the air, bring your chest high off the ground, and that'll engage those spinal erector muscles. For some people, that exercise will always be challenging enough to train those muscles. But for a fair amount of people, it's probably not going to be challenging enough. So you might need to go out and find a lower back machine to use at a gym. At TNT, we have the MedX lumbar spine machine. And if you have access to this one, this is the best one you can find ever. There's a medical version of this that gives you digital feedback on a monitor, and that is very cool. Helps you reduce friction and momentum. But there are some other ways to work your lower back muscles too, and this brings up another topic. So classic movements like a dumbbell or barbell Romanian deadlift, straight leg deadlift. That's going to work the lower back. It also works other muscles, namely the grip muscles and the hamstrings. So and your glutes as well. There's a lot of different stuff working in there, not just those muscles, but
good mornings.
Good mornings where you have a barbell on your back and you're essentially just bending at the waist.
Yeah, you're basically bowing with a nice locked back.
A loaded locked back bow. I don't love those because I think the potential for injury is high. You can perform them safely, but you really need to make sure your technique is really solid, and you definitely don't need to use a ton of weight. So there are a couple sort of classic options.
Hey, what are those guys doing here?
Whenever I feel like I'm stalling out on my bench press, I know I need a new strength curve.
Whether you're stalling out on the road or stalling out in the gym, you need something with great engineering.
That's right. And
So
I
look
want
for the pendulum.
Pendulum. Not just your average strength machines.
No, they have smooth strength curves.
Amazing rigidity.
And did we mention the engineering's fantastic?
That's right. Not to mention, they come in cool colors.
Like red.
And silver. Well, that was kind of weird. What was that all about? Back to the interview.
Last thing I want to get into is just, because there's a contingent of people that don't think you need to train your midsection at all. And I think there's some truth to that. I think one of the main reasons that people think they need to work their abs directly is in order to lose body fat, because they feel like when they do train those muscles, they feel like they're getting leaner. That's not how it works in reality, but it's a feel thing. And if you feel better, right, it's nice to feel better. But when we do certain types of exercises, as Liam mentioned, our midsection is already engaged. So you take something like a chin up or a pull down, like a lat pull down. You've seen this with the straight bar in most gyms. At TNT, we have a Nautilus Nitro lat pull down. This is where you're pulling a bar or pulling handles straight down, and you have the lap bar that's keeping you in your chair. And the way you see this exercise performed in a lot of gyms is you see people leaning way back at like a 45-degree angle. Their midsection's not engaged at all, and they're sort of just like heaving and hoeing. They're using a lot of momentum in the movement, which if you do that, you can move a lot of weight. But you're not going to get the most engagement from all of the muscles that should be, in our opinion, involved in that exercise. So the correct way to perform that exercise is actually to crunch into the movement. And some of the cues that we use with ourselves and our clients are to pull your elbows into your rib cage, to crunch forward as you pull the weight down. Your instinct is always going to be to lean back and use your momentum to lurch that weight down. But we have to remember that our goal in strength training is not just to do reps. Doing reps doesn't necessarily accomplish the task that we're after. What we're after is building fatigue in the muscle. We're after building fatigue and mechanical tension in the muscle. And in order to do that, we need to keep that tension on the muscle. So we need to not use momentum, and we need to use that correct technique. So if you are staying nice and vertical in that lat pull, you are going to engage your abs. You're really going to feel them lighting up, probably going to be sore later if you're training hard. Same thing with a chin up. If you typically do chin ups with your legs hanging back behind you, you can engage your midsection, which I think is a good thing, by just sort of bringing your legs around to the front. You might even feel your body try to crunch up as you get to the top of that movement.
Yeah, you can even go further and actually, as you chin, you can actually pull your knees up along the way and sort of purposely try to get even more stuff going on in the front. And if you haven't done that, it'll make them much harder. There's just more stuff activated. And if you haven't done chin-ups that way, Arthur Jones, actually in his original stuff, he didn't recommend any direct abdominal work. It was just chin-ups, dips, squats, deadlifts. He said if you can't see your abs, you got to change your diet, basically. And it didn't have anything, he didn't even have anybody do any what we would consider classic midsection exercises.
Right. So those are the kind of the six pack, muscle training. When we think about certain other exercises, like take a barbell back squat, most people think of a back squat as a leg exercise, right? Which it is. The prime movers, the strongest muscles in that movement are the glutes and the quads, right? Your butt and your thighs. So those are where all the power comes from. But there's a whole huge list of other muscles that are involved. Almost every muscle in your body is involved in a squat if you're doing it right. Your upper body is stabilizing and holding onto the bar. Your midsection is stabilizing, and your legs are driving the actual movement. Where the whole movement is likely going to break down, not in a bad way, it's got to stop at some point if you do as many reps as you can, is in the lower back. So since you're loading your spine at the top, right, you're putting that bar on your shoulders, that fulcrum point is your lower back. And so there's a lot of tension in that area, and that's where that fatigue is going to originate. And that's the whole reason, if you reach muscular failure in a back squat, that's the whole reason it's going to happen, is because your lower back gets tired. So this is just an important thing to take into account, is if you're squatting, if you're doing a top loaded squat on a regular basis, you already are training your lower back. In fact, if we put all of those different muscles on a graph, on like a bar graph, and looked at, how much engagement are we getting in them, the lower back would be the highest bar, right? The other muscles are working, but they're not working quite as hard as the muscles of the lower back. So that's just something to take into account in your programming. If you're doing a split where you do a push day, pull day, and leg day, and you're doing lower back exercises on pull day because it's pull, involves your back muscles, and then you're squatting on, the next day, you may feel like you don't have as much gas in the tank in those squats. And over time, you could, be overtraining and potentially develop an injury because of that. So we need to take that into account.
Even things like deadlifts, obviously, in all the different forms, even the traditional deadlift, trap bar deadlift, RDLs, which is Romanian deadlift, the straight stiff-legged deadlift. Obviously, those are going to engage low back quite a bit. But something as simple as a barbell curl also engages your abs, right? Your abs are engaged to stabilize your body. If they weren't, then your body would fall forward when you're holding that weight out in front of you, right? So all those muscles are turned on just to stabilize as you're moving this stuff around in space. So the midsection gets activated quite a bit. And this is true even on machines, as Jesse was mentioning, pull downs, different types of devices. The abs, the triceps, right? If you've ever done a hard set of tricep push downs or any type of tricep movement, you have to stabilize. If your abs are fatigued, you'll even feel them shaking sometimes. You're trying to keep your body in the right position if you're using a challenging resistance. So try getting your abs tired first and then do these exercises and see the difference.
Yeah. So I feel like, coming full circle, I feel like, the question behind the question when people ask, should I train my abs every day? The question they're really asking is, how do I make my abs show? So, just to sort of summarize everything that we've talked about, you should train your abs. You should train your six-pack rectus abdominis muscles. You should train your rotational oblique muscles, and you should train the muscles of your lower back, just for overall holistic strength. And sure, if you are very lean, then training those muscles directly may make you look more defined if you are. And that's probably going to require you getting down to 10% body fat if you're a guy, or around there, maybe 10 or 12% body fat.
Yeah.
And if you're a woman, probably under 20% body fat. And it could be lower than both of those numbers. And then we really have to look at what's going on nutritionally. For whatever reason, I mean, we know that nutrition is a very individual, multifaceted thing. It's not, getting lean is not just as simple as just, eating the right food. There are psychological factors at play. There are social factors at play. Your sleep is very important when it comes to, hydration, your stress level, all kinds of, right? Stress and cortisol, go hand in hand. And if you're, it's going to be very challenging if your hormones are out of whack to be eating, healthy, lean food all the time. So there you go. There's the formula.
There we go.
Maybe we give one piece of it or two pieces of advice on that note. If you are trying to get lean, the simple rules we recommend at TNT are: pick the body weight you want to weigh and add a 0 to it. So using myself as an example, I like to weigh 170 pounds. So when I want to be lean, I focus on eating 1,700 calories per day. A second rule is you pick the weight you want to weigh and eat that many grams of protein per pound of body weight every day. So if I like to weigh 170 pounds, I try to eat 170 grams of protein or more per day, regardless of the source. So if you could be carnivore, you could be vegan, you could be omnivore, anywhere in between. Just try to eat your body weight in grams of protein per day, or have the intention of doing it.
There you go. And again, the shortest answer to this question of all is no. You don't need to train your abs every day.
No, you do not. Train them twice per week. That's more than enough. And eat in a controlled calorie range. Lots of protein. You'll build strength, build muscle, feel good, feel energetic. You get lean.
You look awesome and be ready to put your Speedo on.
You'll go to the club. People will be hitting on you left and right. You won't be able to slow people down.
Wow.
You won't be able to, you don't have enough time in the day to field all of the inquiries coming in.
You'll be brushing them away like flies.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Truth Not Trends
TNT Strength podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on whatever platform you're on, and share these episodes with a friend. Spread the word.
If you want to learn more about us, you can visit tntstrength.com.
You can also call us live right here at the studio anytime at 510-768-5421.
Or shoot us an email at contact@tntstrength.com.
If you visit, you can sign up and get our free training and nutrition PDF. Just head on over, click the box. It'll be in your inbox in no time.
While you're at tntstrength.com, check out our store where we offer our fantastic TNT Strength nutritional supplements.
And whatever you do, stay off with that stupid blue Bosu. What I'm lost now. How do we sound?
Mixed and edited by Desmond McNeese for We Mixed It, LLC. Go to whatsoundsawesome.com.
Do we sound handsome?